I was gonna say when you said the Kobe to my Shaq, I was like, dude, Donald, what does that mean, dude? Does that mean like one of you are gonna split up and you're gonna go win 2 titles and Alex is gonna be is Donald carrying you or what?
Thanks for downloading and listening to another episode of the West Box Score. We take a look at sports on the west side of the country, inside and outside of the box score. Here to break down some of the latest news going on in the sports world is my co-host, co-pilot, co-captain, the Kobe to my Shaq, my good brother, Donald Paz. What's up, Donald?
Yo, what up, Alex? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. Just getting ready to get the show started. We have a very special guest. He's famously known on the Fox Crate podcast. I'm very excited to have him, but we couldn't get him. We couldn't get Primo Rick, so we had to deal with Sonny Hermano. Sonny Hermano, what is up, dude?
Oh, Bird. What up, man? Man, I'm already going to turn this thing off. Forget it.
Already out the gate, coming in hot, man.
Already, dude. Dang. I was going to say...
fully loaded.
I was going to say when you said the Kobe to my Shaq, I was like, dude, Donald, what does that mean, dude? Does that mean like one of you are going to split up and you're going to go win 2 titles and Alex is going to be...
Well, look, I said the Kobe to my Shaq because I'm Shaq in this analogy here because I'm lazy, but Donald's got all the skill. He's the Kobe of this duo.
So you're the Chicharito to his Vela. on El Tri. Is that
on
El
Tri? Okay, about to say because they're not on the same team
they are
on the, in the MLS.
They're
Former teammates, right?
You're the Chicharito to his Vela. Let's make that.
Dang, we're getting started quickly on this one,
right? Already out the gate already, dude. So just so you know, why we have Sonny Hermano on the podcast. He's a great sports fan as well. He hosts a great podcast, the Fox Crate podcast, which is all vinyl music. It's how would you describe your podcast?
Oh man, it's a podcast that's for the music enthusiast. We happen to cater to the vinyl collector, or the vinyl head, or the crate diggers. But really, it's just for any music fan, man. I mean, it's something that my cousin and I had in common. You know, we collect wax, but we just like to give we like to talk a little bit of shit sometimes. Not that we talk shit about anything specific, but we like to address the culture and give our 2 cents, just like what you two are doing here, man. I'm
exact same podcast, is the exact same type of podcast, except for instead of sports, it's music, and it's great for any music fan. You don't have to be a crate digger, as you said. You just be a music fan. I love the way you give your best songs of on season 1 finale. You give your best songs that were released.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Exactly. No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the love. We're trying to do our thing. Season 2 has been a little bit hit or miss, just with the state of the world these days. But,
that is true. Just like the sports world is right now.
Yeah, exactly. But we're still trying to do our thing, and like I said, I'm proud and I'm happy of what you guys are getting off the ground here, and just happy to be on the show, man.
Thank you, man. That means a lot, dude.
Thanks for taking the time out to sit and talk with us here. We really appreciate it.
Of course, you're going to regret it later, though. Don't worry. After we're done with this.
We might. As you can tell already out the gate, there's already allegiances that we don't fall on the same page on. Right. But we do agree overall that we're big sports fans. So that's always a nice common denominator with everything about sports, fandom as a whole, that we may not like the same teams or the same players, but we all come together for an overall love of sport. So with that said, Sonny Hermano, first question out the gate: how long have you lived in LA?
Oh man, I'm a native Angelino, dude. I've been born and raised, dude. I was born in Bellflower, and not too far from where we are right now at the moment, I guess. I mean, I guess you could say I was the galaxy before the galaxy, because I claim I'm from LA, but technically I was born in Bellflower, so
So right at the game, we got to say this right away, because you're not allowing us to get to the point that you are a LAFC supporter.
That is correct.
You are an LAFC supporter. 3252, 310, 562, all that whole spiel.
That's right.
All of them, right?
That's right. Scarves up. I forgot my scarf at home, or else I'd have it right here. Too bad there's not a video element to your show yet. But
not yet. Soon enough. But and Donald and I are both G's. So
that's right.
We support LA Galaxy.
I feel you.
ACB, LA Riot Squad.
Yeah. What is it?
Victoria Block.
They're the what is it? The Carson Galaxy. of LA adjacent, brought to you by Herbalife. What is
Hey, I used my code Chicha to get 30% off that Herbalife, and it's already working. It's already working. I have tons of energy for this podcast now.
I heard that episode, man. Shout out to the two of you for calling out your own.
We have to keep it real here.
I appreciate that.
That was just bizarre.
I appreciate
that. But so you're
weird.
an LAFC fan from way back of a whole 2 years ago. So.
Yes, I'm an LAFC supporter. I am a season ticket holder. Have been since before day one, right? So technically, tickets went on sale.
The pre-sale.
They technically went on sale two years before we even kicked the ball. So
pre-sale code Vela, right?
Exactly. Well, no, it was before we even knew Vela was going to be on the team.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
In all honesty, that is awesome that you could claim allegiance to a team that hasn't even been, has no history, but you are already going with what the idea of a team is going to be, which is what LAFC is, right? It's the idea of this team, the whole motto of this is what we're going to be. We have no quote unquote history. Galaxy fans will insult you guys and call you guys Chivas 2.0. Do you agree? What's your defense to that?
Well, listen.
LAFC is Chivas 2.0.
Listen, to give you a little bit of backstory, I'm not a new soccer fan. Yes, I'm a new LAFC fan, if that's a thing, obviously, because it's a new franchise-ish. But it was definitely a gamble when I put that investment down. I remember talking to my wife at the time and being like, first of all, I always wanted to be a part of, I always wanted to be a season ticket holder of a team, right? Although, and I'm sure we'll get into this in a bit, the only team that was going to be worth it for me to do so here in LA was going to be the Lakers, because that's the only other LA team aside from the Kings. But unfortunately, I'm not a big hockey enthusiast. I'll follow the Kings, but I don't follow the rest of the sport like that. So for me, it was like the Lakers, right? But how expensive was that going to be, right? To try to get in, and I imagine what that waiting list is like. So here came this opportunity for this basically my first love, it being football, soccer, to kind of get in from the ground up and kind of buy in. And the reason why I say it was a gamble is because I didn't know if it was going to be Chivas 2.0. I was banking on it wouldn't be. I was banking that they were going to learn their lessons. Because had it been Chivas 2.0, I wouldn't have put the investment down.
Right.
But they were saying all the right things. They were marketing the right way, and they sold me, and I was like, okay, I'm down. I'm in. And you know what? It's a decision that I'm glad I made now looking back on it. Not just from a entrepreneurial standpoint, just because of ticket resale and stuff like that, but as a fan of the sport. It's like my wife and I, we still talk about it now, with pandemic hitting and it affecting jobs and whatnot. And it was like we were trying to prepare. We were like, okay, where are we going to have to cut, in our budget? Right. And we looked at that and we were like, okay, we're not touching that.
Wow. That's impressive, dude.
That's something that we want to keep on or hang on to as long as we can. So long as they do right by us. And Donald, I've spoken to you privately about some of the inner dealings of what it's been like with them during this pandemic. But so long as they do right by us, I mean, it's something that I'd love to pass down for generations, So.
Well, what are some of those inner dealings?
Okay, so if you're going to make me put my own squad on blast, then
please, because we did the same with Chicha, so.
Yeah, in the name, I mean, that's like low-hanging fruit though, right? I mean, to attack somebody who's not really performing.
Why you
like
gotta make short jokes about Chicha?
So yeah, I mean, the problem was that prior to the pandemic, I couldn't get a hold of my rep, and since I started the whole rep thing, I think I've had like 3 different reps since I first signed up. So, it was frustrating at the time. This was pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic hit. And damn, dude, if you thought I couldn't get a hold of somebody before the pandemic, they put me straight on voicemail option like every time I would call. And I was being polite. I would send out a couple emails. I just wanted to know what the status was. Obviously, I knew that soccer had been paused, that we weren't going to be going into any games anytime soon. So I just wanted to know, hey, what were our options? What are they thinking? I didn't even want to take action right away, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but I feel like they were feeling the crunch of a lot of offices being short-staffed, and they just couldn't get to you to answer questions. I mean, I haven't reached out to my Galaxy rep because I have a Galaxy mini plan. I can't do season tickets like yourself. All I can do is the mini plans. I've done mini plans for the LA Kings as well. And those are always they're always very accommodating. AEG is always very accommodating because they're owned by both the LA Kings and the LA Galaxy. So it seems like a staffing issue there in that sense, but it's not.
I mean, the frustrating part though was that I was still getting billed monthly. That had they paused it on their own and they had not gotten back to anybody, hey, it's all gravy. You guys will get back to me when you can. No worries, no harm, no foul, right? But it was one of those things like, how do you know that I haven't lost my job or that my wife hasn't lost her job? And it's like, for you to just recklessly, I think, keep and I say this because it seems as though this has happened across the board, not just LAFC season ticket holders, but other sports franchises. It was like, whoa, you guys got to act quick here and be responsible, or else there's people that are going to come after you, and you're going to do damage to the brand that you've worked so hard to build up. So luckily, though, after a few more attempts, I gave it a break, and even a few more attempts after that, I was able to finally get a hold, and they were very cooperative. And they made it right. It was right around the time that they announced the MLS's back tournament. So then I was like, oh wait, let me call them. This is now that I know what they're doing with my money. let me get them, try them back on the phone. They need to book
flights to Orlando.
Yeah, exactly. So other than
just
that,
so you know,
though,
the LA Galaxy sent out an email right as the pandemic started saying they're not going to bill any LA Galaxy season ticket holders.
Oh, okay. I thought they were going to say. I thought they were going to say, just so you know, now that the pandemic started, we can no longer afford to pay you to come to the games to fill out our stadium.
No, they emailed.
Free tickets are off the board, guys.
They emailed Chicha's Venmo, just pay him directly because that's who we're paying anyway.
Yeah, how's that investment working out for you guys?
Fantastic. 2 games in, 0 goals. But so I got to ask you this then. So say money's not an issue.
Yeah.
And accessibility is not an issue. If you could only be a season ticket holder to one LA team, who would it be?
It's the Lakers, man.
Nice.
It's the
only right answer, by the way.
Yeah, it's the Lakers all day, every day. It's just the I mean, they're not for lack of criticism with their sometimes mishandling of the squad or the organization. It seemed like 10 years since the last time we made the playoffs and what was going to be this season. But it's the prestige. It's the stadium is dope. I have been a lifelong Laker fan. So for me, it's just like, that's the goal. That's still the goal. The goal is still to become an LA Lakers season ticket holder. So
I know this is your interview, but I'm going to pose that question over to Donald now. Money not being an issue.
Yeah.
Accessibility not being an issue. Who is your team, LA sports team, that you'd want to be a season ticket holder to?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would have to go with the Lakers as well. Just because that has been the best experience I've had. I think in terms of atmosphere, I think second best experience I've had was probably LA Kings. Just because that intro when they come in and just the build up and the music and everything, like the culture of it is really cool. Like you do, like for people that kind of knock hockey, like you have to go to a game to really like fully understand the culture and to really get into it, because it really sucks you in when you're in it. So that has been the second best experience. The Lakers for sure the first. Like, I mean, talking about energy, you feel it when a team's doing well. And that's, those two. I've been to Dodger games as well, but baseball is kind of like, it's baseball. Like, it's cool. Like, if you really enjoy it and you understand baseball, like, I would say this, and this is me talking like from the casual fan perspective, because I know like I could watch a baseball game. I could go to Dodger Stadium and really enjoy a game and really understand what's happening and understand the pitch, understand the count, and understand all these little nuances that most people kind of like, it just goes over their head. I know that in a weird way, I do get why the Dodgers had to build like that bar area. I forgot the name of it, but they built like a bar area where I know people just go and just hang out. They're not really
like
there to watch the
center field, right?
Yeah.
And it's like near the entrance.
Remodeling center field. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not center field, but it's like right center. It's like right where you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, like on the pavilion is where I've sat in, and it's. Yeah, and I can tell, like, it's like you just are here because you want to say you came to the game, but you're really here to, like, hang out and, like, be social. Right. But, yeah, so obviously the atmosphere is just kind of a little different with the Dodger game. It's a little bit more mellow. But for sure, I think the Lakers has the best atmosphere, just the most energy. You feel it. It gets electric. It's crazy. I went to the Clippers game this season as well to check it out, and the Clippers were killing. I forgot who they were playing, but they were
lose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were killing the other team. I forgot what team it was. I went to go see it, and I just felt the fans were just like almost like they were it's like, dude, you realize your team's winning right now. Like they're killing it, And Montrezl Harrell was having a game, and I'm like, and like the whole crowd just looked like they were just stagnant, like almost like they were shocked that it happened, which I've heard it can happen sometimes with like the Angels and the Ducks kind of get that kind of vibe.
There's another LA team. I can't put my name on them, but it has a weak crowd. Fallacy.
Well, look at I will say this to Donald's point about weak crowds in Orange County. I've seen that when I go to Kings Ducks games out there, when I go to Dodgers Angels games out there. The Orange County fans do not care, and I don't mean that to bash them because LA fans get that rap too. When opposing teams, especially from the East, come over here and they're so loud and vibrant, they're like, "Oh, these LA fans aren't being loud the way we are." It's just we're kind of more relaxed out here, right? I don't know if it's the weather, but a lot of times we don't get super loud. I guess unless you're at the bank or whatever one, and they pay you to yell for 90 minutes, then I guess that's fine. You could yell all you want.
Time out. Wait. Let's wait. First of all, I will say, because as Donald was waxing poetic, and I agreed with everything that he was saying about Staples Center, for a second, like I had to like wake up because I was like, oh shit, is he talking about the bank or Staples Center? Because everything he was saying. And first of all, let me ask you this, Donald. Have you been to a game at the bank yet?
I have not. That's actually, I would love to visit the bank just for the sake of kind of saying like, I was there and kind of can feel how it is. Because seeing Kings, Clippers, and Lakers in the same venue,
correct,
kind of feeling it out. I've been at Chargers games as well, but Chargers are just kind of mellow because it's like, it kind of feels like a startup,
Right.
For as much as I love the Chargers, I do understand where they're at, and it's a startup. I am looking forward to the SoFi Stadium experience and seeing how different that's going to be. But yeah, definitely the Banc of California, kind of like on the to-do list of like just seeing how that vibe is.
Listen, let me give you, it's a slightly biased, but it's the un-Alex opinion of this, okay? Because I can tell you, again, as a soccer fan, right? I've had the privilege and the opportunity to attend a number of soccer games in my life, at the Rose Bowl, at the Home Depot, Carson Center. I forget what it's called, but
today it's called the Dignity Health Sports Park.
Yeah, Dignity Health. Thank you. I've attended matches there. I've been lucky enough to attend a Clásico in Madrid. I've been to Barcelona. I've been to the different environments. The only thing that's lacking is Germany. I haven't been to a game at the Bundesliga. I would love to go, but the experience at the bank is unrivaled in this country for a soccer game that's not featuring a national team. For an MLS franchise. I've been to Seattle Sounders game. That's the next best thing I can compare it to, where the vibe was just nonstop and not like, it's not violent in any ways. It's not like how, because I can talk to the Angel crowd a little bit. I come from the unique standpoint of being a Seattle Mariners fan. So
quite unique.
So I've actually been to quite a few Angels games in my life because, of course, the Mariners being in the same division, that's one of the only chances I get to see them on a regular basis every year when they come to town to Anaheim. So I know that stadium and I know that crowd very well that you guys are talking about. But going back to the bank, it's definitely something as a soccer fan, Donald, that I'm going to bring you to a game with me because and I don't sit in the 3252. No disrespect to them. I love it's like one of those things, like it's dope from afar. Like, but if you're there to watch the game and pay attention to the X's and O's, and see what's going on, hell no, I don't want to be a part of the 3252. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm not
it's
there
work,
to just,
man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's work
I'm
to
not
be in
there
the supporter groups, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
actually, now that you brought up the Rose Bowl, the other thing I did go see a couple years ago, like maybe like 3 years ago, maybe 3 seasons ago, was a USC versus Texas.
Yeah.
At the Coliseum, which was really cool too. USC probably number 3 on that list if I had to rank them from like Lakers, Kings, USC football. That's a really cool experience, just seeing the whole thing come alive. But then again, that's college sports. College sports is just the way it is. I'm sure if I went to the Rose Bowl for a UCLA game, it'd be the same experience too. So
yeah, absolutely. The collegiate experience anywhere you go, I feel like, and even then you get like Southerners that laugh at us, right? Like they'll be like, that's not a football game. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, back to the bank and that real quick, just to put a bow on that. Like it really is just unbiased, like next to the Lakers and maybe right there with them. Like the vibe that you get just from being at that game for 90 minutes, it's great. I can't speak as the anti-supporter. I don't know what it's like coming in not being a fan of that team, but let's just say you were neutral and you were just because I've taken a few friends of mine who aren't really into soccer like that. Like they're trying to get into it, but I knew by bringing them to a game there, they would start to appreciate and they would get an itch for, oh, this is what soccer can be.
Yeah, like I was saying with Alex, I spoke to him about this in private. Maybe we might have said it on the pod recently, but I know that, with the experience that I've seen on TV with LAFC and the 3252 and just like everything, especially during the El Tráfico games, which is like crazy to see like how worldwide that's become. I was listening to Bleacher Report's football ranking podcast, and this was months ago. This was like last season when Zlatan was still here. And they asked the dude, and these are like 2 English guys, I believe, that host the show for Bleacher Report. And they tell them, like, what's the best? Because they're doing rankings, and they're like, best soccer experience, like, best soccer rivalry experience. And they said, oh, the El Tráfico, they said. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm listening to this, like, while walking my dog, thinking, like, these dudes in England are like, yo, like, this is the must-watch match right now around the world in World Association football. Not just, like, Europe. And it's crazy, but going back to what I was talking to Alex about, like, I think with what LAFC had done, it definitely woke up the Galaxy, because we wouldn't be having the Victoria block and all this other stuff that I think the Galaxy started realizing, oh shoot, because that's been happening since like with the Sounders and their supporter group. Exactly. Atlanta, what Atlanta did was huge, like 70,000 at that final match for the MLS Cup. Like I think the Galaxy kind of always saw that as like, okay, whatever. But then when LAFC did it, it was like, oh damn, like we need to like start making moves,
Yeah, which I think ultimately is great for the game itself. And I know we'll get into this on a future episode, hopefully, as the tournament nears. But yeah, that experience, just undoubtedly, it's one of the best sports experiences you can get, even if you're a new fan to soccer. I can attest to that. So.
Well, that's the best thing overall for the sport, to grow the sport here in the U.S. because let's be honest, LA is one of the markets that's starting to grow a little bit more so throughout the country. And we're going to have it big here, but we won't have it big necessarily in other parts like Ohio yet. That's still going to be all Buckeye football. That's not going to be that's all American football. That's not the actual world sport of football yet. So you hope with that in bigger markets like LA and hopefully New York with the Red Bulls and NYCFC, that just continues to grow the overall sport as a whole. And that's why when you say, Donald, that somebody from England can point to El Tráfico as being a big deal, and it takes two. It takes both LA Galaxy and LAFC to build that product. And that's why, as much as I bash LAFC for being, a marketing propaganda, and I make that joke, but it's also a great thing overall that it brings eyes to the sport.
Right.
And obviously it wouldn't be as big if there wasn't this antagonist of Zlatan on the Galaxy, and now hopefully Chicha could actually perform on the pitch and actually get some goals, and hopefully have good games against LAFC when we finally see it happen in the MLS's back tournament, that continues to build the momentum and the popularity of it Tráfico.
Absolutely. I think like you said, it brings eyes to the sport, but also equally as important, it brings the eyes of other players to the sport, to the league, where they're like, hey, maybe I do want to go play over there. Maybe it's like that atmosphere seems dope.
If they do want to retire over here.
if you want to play for the Galaxy, sure. That's
I have a question for both of you.
But if you want to win supporter shields, you could go play at LAFC.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Donald. You said
no. I have a question for both of you. Kind of piggybacking on what you were saying about changing kind of like the way the league's being looked at. Would you prefer this be seen as a retirement league or as a farming? Kind of like a farming system, because it feels like it's going to fall into one or the two, and it's been more known as a retirement league, but like you said, like they are starting to get talent that's kind of being more sought after. You saw Alphonso Davies go from the Whitecaps to Bayern, and now Bayern, they got the title, and he was a big part of that. And then you're seeing a lot of these players get developed, and I'm kind of just wanted to ask that to you guys, like what would you guys prefer the MLS be like 5 to 10 years from now?
It's got to be a farming league, 1,000%. It's the same thing that I've urged, and at one point it was Liga MX to be. They've kind of gotten away from that more recently, but for a while there, at its peak, when they were producing like the best stars of their league, it's because they were selling those players. I mean, don't get me into the politics of the selling and how they run their league there, but they were still selling players to English Premier Leagues, and to English Premier teams, and or Bundesliga teams, or teams that were playing in Holland, and then those players would go on to do well over there, and I think the MLS needs that same infrastructure. You don't want to have a retirement league. If you have one or two players, that sure, fine. If they're exceptions to the rules, like the Ronaldos and the Messis, fine. How do you say no, to players like that, of that stature? One of the reasons why Liga MX blew up when it did was because Pelé came, over and Pelé came to play in the World Cup, that was held in Mexico, and then there were other players that would come and of known stature from other countries that would come to want to play in Liga MX, MLS, I feel like, already has lived some of that same experience. Now it's time to move past that and grow past that.
Well, I feel like it has to be a combination of the two. It needs to be both a feeder system and a bit of a retirement league, seen as a retirement league, because you need the feeder system to have the actual talent on the field, to actually have the good quality of play. Like young players, like I'll point two out for the Galaxy, Pavon and Ifra Alvarez, who are both young up-and-coming players who both want to get to Europe, and they see the MLS as their way of getting there. And then you also have Chicha, who is pretty much, that's who we started this off with, as seeing it as a retirement league, because he's a big name. That you have to have both. You have to have young players who are going to play skillfully and get eyes, and you want the big name players to tune in to, right? Like, you got to watch this game because it's Vela versus Chicha. And then once you start watching that game as a casual fan, you'll see the quality of the football is actually really good by these younger quote unquote feeder players who are going to put out a good performance. So it has to be a combination of the two. It's all about the MLS finding that nice happy medium to have the right amount of young players, but a few big names to get you to tune in to watch as a casual fan.
Yeah, a couple of veterans. I think I just thought of that now that you mentioned that too, that the veterans do help in the marketing. Because I mean, who do these teams put when they put out their like flyers and their brochures. It's
Right.
it's the superstar guy, and the superstar guy tends to be the veteran guy that probably just came from Europe, from a better club that's just here to like kind of kick it for a while and hopefully win a cup and all that. So yeah, that makes sense. There has to be a balance, I guess, if you're trying to grow the league.
As a league, you have to ask yourself, what section of your fan base do you want to grow more? Do you want to add more fans to soccer, or do you want to add more fans of your league? Because those are two different bases. If you want to add more fans to soccer, then that's when you pull the big names that they might have heard through an occasional 4-year World Cup where they're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Now I'm kind of familiar with him. Oh, now he plays for the local. Now he plays for Kansas City. Now he plays for, whomever it may be in the MLS. That's one way. But if you want to build it for the soccer fans that you already have in this country, then you need to build your own players through your own farm systems, through your own, minor league systems, however you want to call them, development leagues, basically. So that
but
when
how
they get...
has the LAFC built? They built that exact model the way we're talking about. They built with Vela as their star player, and then a nice feeder system of Rossi.
Yeah,
and
but
all those players.
Vela was still at an age that he was still technically in his prime.
Right, but he's that name though. If they wouldn't have picked up a big name player like,
but it's not retirement. It's not retirement.
No,
though.
Of course it's not.
In that example, that's why I think LAFC did it the right way, quote unquote, the right way, because their player that they built around was somebody who not only had all the name power, but was technically still in his prime when he came to the league.
Well, yeah, they have to be good though too. That's true. Like, I mean, but I guess yeah, that makes sense too, because I think like with Vela, I feel like he's here, and I kind of don't see him leaving. Right. Whereas you got
he tried.
I remember when LAFC had a Walker Zimmerman, young kid, great defender. I thought he was great, and I could see Walker Zimmerman probably eventually going to some European club.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that one hurt.
He was really good. I remember because he's part of the national team as well. So obviously, when they're a national team, it's also like I follow them closely. But he was really good, and he's young, right? He's like 23 or something like that. He's really young. He's still got like years in him, and I think he's gonna be one of those guys that might get picked up by maybe a Spanish league or maybe Bundesliga. Most of these national U.S. guys go to the Bundesliga, so. Yeah, I kind of see then that was a healthy balance. And I guess like you said, LAFC did it right by getting a guy that wasn't not just a name, but also performed. Correct. He got all the goals, and there was a big, back and forth between him and Zlatan in terms of like who was going to make the most goals, and those kind of stories matter. Whereas like I think another guy that came in too that kind of came and went was Wayne Rooney. Which was a fun story, right? Like that was fun to see him come in and kind of basically run circles around the MLS and kind of be like, yeah, of course I'm better than you guys. And
but that's what hurts the league, because Wayne Rooney came in as an old man. You know what I mean? And if he's running circles around your league, that's a wake up call to your league. Yeah, to be like, dude, how do these old guys keep coming over here? Zlatan, I feel like Zlatan was the exception. He was lightning in a bottle. World class talent. So even for his age, right? Although we're seeing it now, he senses still trying to go back to Europe, and I don't think it's going to happen again for him anymore like that.
Yeah, I don't think he did much over there in AC Milan right now, so.
Yeah, but I think him coming to LA and the league, again, that's where I say he's kind of one of the exceptions, right? Like, but Wayne Rooney is more still some of the medium. It was like, Andrea Pirlo coming to NYCFC. It was like, yeah, I get it, but he's too old already, you know? So that's what I mean by the league has to be careful with the exception, who they designate as the exception to the rule. The great thing about LAFC is who did they partner Vela with? They partnered him with Diego Rossi, who's young as hell, you know what I mean? And of a different country of origin, so it's like, that's the model that I think most MLS teams should be following. It's like, get that brand name superstar or superstar adjacent and support him with somebody who can be that superstar in 6 years. You know?
And that's one thing, as we could say as LA Galaxy supporters here, that we don't necessarily like some of the quote unquote marketing that LAFC throws our way with some things. But one thing, as we could agree on as football fans, that they do put out a good product on the field. And that's one thing that you have to be able to acknowledge unbiasedly by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
So we'll get deeper into the MLS is Back tournament with you next week if you were so gracious enough to accept our invitation to come back.
Yes.
But when we wrap this up, I got one last question to ask you, and you tell me either in person, first answer in person, and then on television, your favorite LA sports moment.
LA sports moment?
Yes.
Okay. Well, man. Again, I only follow the Lakers. I mean, I watch all LA teams, of course. Being born and raised here, I've been to plenty of Dodger games, plenty of Angel games. I'm familiar with all the history and whatnot. But because I'm a fan of the Lakers and the Kings to a certain extent, I'm not going to count LAFC because it's too soon. Although some of those first playoff win was dope. You know,
long overdue.
Yeah, but it's that I could think of that I went to in person. I went to Game 1. I can't believe it's 10 years ago now of the 2010 NBA Finals, Lakers versus Celtics.
Nice.
Nosebleed section.
Don't matter. You were in there.
But I was in the building, man, and it was like revenge. It was just crazy to be able to witness and be a part of like the history of Celtics Lakers. And we got the dub that day. And I just remember feeling like, I remember my homie hit me up like the day before. He was like, yo, I have somebody who's selling tickets like $200 more than what face value was. I think face value for Nosebleed at the time was like $200.
Wow.
So it was like $400.
$400,
yeah. And I just, at the time, my now wife, she was my girlfriend. I was like, YOLO. I was the same back in 2010, so it was like
nice, dude.
Yeah, and we went, dude, and I remember I had all like the player introductions. I was hyped. It was like, it's payback. We got to win this one, back-to-back championship. Fuck the Celtics, blah blah blah.
Yeah, awesome.
And Kobe being my favorite player, it was just a great experience. And the fact that we got the W and then ultimately went on to win the series, because I think had we lost the series, it would have been like, it was dope to be there, but damn, we lost the finals. But knowing that it resulted in what has since been our last ring. It was like, oh, dope! I'm so glad I was there for that, you know.
Awesome.
So I'd say that was probably my most cherished LA experience.
That's an awesome experience.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Lakers. I've only been to one Laker game, and that was a preseason game against the Clippers. But Kobe did play, and I could imagine that's not the same atmosphere for a regular season game or even an NBA Finals game. Like that's pretty impressive. Yeah,
I've been lucky enough to follow the team too on a couple road trips. So I've seen the Lakers like another, because I'm always curious, like what would it be like? You see on TV, the Lakers get a lot of love from like whatever stadium they go to. So I got curious and I saw them. It was like a great sports weekend. I saw the Lakers at Golden State on a Friday night. This was I think this might've been Steph Curry's rookie season even. So before they were good. And then that Sunday I went to the Niners Detroit Lions game or something like that at Candlestick at the time.
Dang.
So it was like heaven, dude. It was because the Niners won that weekend and the Lakers had won that Friday night. But then to hear all like the fans that repped the Lakers in the Bay, it was dope. So something I recommend.
Nice, very nice. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. We're going to hopefully Sonny Hermano will come back with us next week if we can't get Primo Rick to finally come through. So we'll have to settle for the second best host on the Box Crate podcast. Thanks for downloading and listening to the West Box Score. I'm Alex Gonzalez. That's Donna Paz over there. Later.
Peace.